Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In case if you are new here, my name's Dave. May the Schwartz be with you, and I'm really excited to be going over a review here of the Reef Tiger Aurora Illidan watch. We will get all into the good, the bad, and the ugly of this watch, but first I want to do a quick wristwatch check for my guys out there. Again, in case you didn't know, it's a great day to wear a watch, and we are wearing the Reef Tiger RGA3033, and this is of course a homage of the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, and I have done a full review on this watch which you can check out up here. If you saw my Loom Wars video which I just posted, this was one of the final watches that actually did the best in terms of the loom performance, and that is what we got on the wrist to celebrate Reef Tiger with another Reef Tiger. I just want to point out a couple of things that I really like about this watch, but first I want to talk about the boxing that it came in. Now, I normally don't do unboxings on my channel, but they sent it here on this just kind of simple cardboard box, but it had this interesting bubble wrap that I really haven't seen in other watches that I've ordered when they box it. It does come with a manual / catalog, so it shows all of the different watches that Reef Tiger has, both men's and women's. Really nice. I didn't know about 80% of the different models that were shown in this kind of booklet, and then of course it has instructions for this watch in particular, kind of goes over all the details, and also has some things where it talks about like the straps, how they're supposed to be done, so pretty cool. And then we also have the warranty card, which I'm not sure what this is really worth overall. I mean, international warranty, yeah, I guess, I don't know. It's insured by my my jewelry policy anyway, so I'm not really too much worried about the warranty, but that's what it came in. Now, the box itself has this little protective sleeve, and then there's this faux leather kind of padded case with this contrast stitching, so looks pretty nice. And then inside is just kind of a velvet type of material, nice and soft, to keep the watch from getting scratched. So that's how it was packaged when it arrived.
Let's start off with some measurements, as we always do on the reviews. Now, this watch does have an interesting case design, so I'm going to measure it across like this. And we see that we have a case diameter of 44 millimeters, lug to lug height is just under 50 millimeters, and the case thickness with this dome sapphire crystal is putting us right at 15 millimeters. This watch has a 20 millimeter strap at the lugs, and that does taper down to 18 millimeters. So if you are planning on swapping out the strap, but still want to use this single deployment clasp, please keep in mind that it will need to taper down to 18 millimeters. And somewhat similar to my other Reef Tiger watch, this has a nice sailcloth strap that has black stitching. It does not have contrast stitching as you can see on this one. It's just black on black, and it does have the leather backing that rests against your skin, so you don't get that abrasive sailcloth material touching against your wrist, but instead get that nice pleasant leather feel. Looking close up here on the deployment clasp, it is made of solid 316L stainless steel. We have Reef Tiger branding on the clasp, and it feels really nice. And we see there's a solid case back that screws down into the watch. We'll get an up close look at this here in a moment. There is a solid 316L stainless steel case with sapphire crystal. That is nice to see at this price point, which I'll get into a bit later. Now let's get a side view so you can see how it pops up here. And this case has such a cool and interesting design. And I call this my UFO watch because of this multi-step domed pattern design. It reminds me of an IWC watch where it kind of scoops out like a bowl. Now, I like that we have brushed stainless steel here on the side, and then it is polished on the bowl portion that slopes upward. And you can also see that we have the tachymeter along the fixed bezel of the watch, which is also brushed, but the indices are engraved into the case itself, which you can feel. It has an interesting effect because when you look at the watch straight on, you wouldn't know that this has such an odd case design to it. And that's one of the things I really like about this watch. Overall, it just has this unique style. You can see that some thought really went into the watch design. This particular version of the Reef Tiger is model number RGA3033-YWB. It is part of the Aurora collection, and it is the Illidan watch. You can see that wording here above 6 o'clock. It also lists that it is a chronograph watch and has 100 meters of water resistance, which is really good considering that we see there's these piston pushers and the watch does not have a screw down crown. So the fact that we're getting 100 meters of water resistance is really nice. And we see the Reef Tiger R logo on the crown, which has a coin edge, and also these piston pushers that are high polished. Now, an interesting feature of the case that I like a lot is we do have the brushed side that transitions to high polish, and then again back to brushed, which gives this sharp edge, almost sweeping motion up through the lugs. It's beautifully done. Reef Tiger is one of these watch companies that, even though the translation is incredibly poor on their website, they nail it when it comes to the design and the look of some of their watches. Not everything is my cup of tea that they release, but when I saw this one, I noticed that it had an incredible value for the price, especially since we're getting sapphire crystal and the movement that's powering this watch, which is a Seiko VK64 Mecha-Quartz. And we see that in quite a few different watches. Now we'll start with the top pusher here, and you'll see the Mecha-Quartz movement going to work. It is a flyback movement, so when we stop it and hit that bottom reset pusher, it will fly back to the 12 o'clock position. And the watch isn't perfect, as I do wish we had a running second-hand sub-dial, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker for me. On the right sub-dial at 3 o'clock, we're getting a running 24-hour complication, and then at the 9 o'clock sub-dial, we have chronograph minutes that can be timed up to 1 hour, but we don't actually have a running second hand, so that is a bit of a bummer. Getting up close on the dial, I did want to point out that there is the option of this white dial version, and there's also a black version to select from. And there's even a black PVD case option in black and white dials as well. So you get a bit of something for everyone when it comes to your personal taste and style with regard to case material and dial color. And links for each one of these will be down in the description below. I opted for the white dial as I feel it gives good contrast with the silver hands and the sub-dial rings, which you can see are this nice matte silver in color, and they are raised up from the dial so they pop and really play nice with the lighting. The hour indices have this cool stick design that is cut slightly on each corner for the ones that meet the rings of each sub-dial. I think it looks great and gives a nice balanced feel overall to the dial. The dome sapphire does give us a bit of distortion when viewing at an angle, and that also plays with the light and gives some shadows along the dial as well. Now I have to be honest, this date window at 6 o'clock I'm really not a fan of. I generally don't like date windows at 6 o'clock, but I see that they really couldn't put it anywhere else due to the symmetry of the sub-dials. You know, I would have been perfectly fine with the watch if they had opted for a no date option. It's a tight squeeze, so when we get into the double digit dates, you can see how tight it really is in that date window. When we look at movement of the minute and hour hands for time adjustment, you can see that it is a little on the slow side, taking many more turns than preferred to make time changes. For the date change, it starts around 10 o'clock, which is pretty early, and then it clicks over right before midnight at around 11:55 p.m. When we look at the case back, I really like the design that they put on here. It's engraved pretty deep, and we see the branding listed along with the model number, name, the collection name, and an indication of stainless steel chronograph. I think this globe design is pretty cool looking, and I like that they put the Reef Tiger logo there in the middle too. It's just a nice clean design. Now when I first got this watch, the edges were a little rough, so I hit it with my polishing cloth. Again, you guys know I'm a big fan of these jewelry polishing cloths. They do such a good job of smoothing out your watch edges and bringing out their best shine. Yeah, I highly recommend them, and I'll put links down below so you can snag a few for yourself. You won't be disappointed, I promise. Let's get this on the wrist for you as we summarize and talk price. I did pick up this version of the RGA3033 for $133 on Amazon, but if you are a fan of the black dial, it's actually currently listed for $99. This is just a tremendous value in my opinion, as we're getting this amazingly designed chronograph watch with sapphire crystal, Seiko VK64 movement, a solid and nice deployant clasp on sailcloth and leather strap, and 100 meters of water resistance. I mean, wow, what's not to love, right? Well, I'll tell you that date window is probably one of the things I personally don't love, but the other con would be lack of lume on this watch. But as you saw in my Lume Wars video, which I'll link up here, I feel it's safe to say that crappy lume is to be expected at this price point anyway. So now that you've seen 2 Reef Tiger watches on my channel, let me know what you think in the comments down below. So are you a fan of these watches as well, or do you think that they're lacking for the price? I'd love to hear what you guys think, and I always look forward to interacting with you. If you enjoy this video and review, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to join the Schwartz Force and see future uploads. So thanks again, and as always, may the Schwartz be with you. I'll see you guys at the next one. Take care.